Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out to celebrate these two and the love that they share for each other. If you don't know who I am Ian's annoying little sister, but you can all call me Mac. And for the last 19 years of my life, I have worked tirelessly as Ian's biggest fan and greatest annoyance. Now, when he asked me to give this speech, I probably said no as soon as he asked because that's just what I do. But I wasn't too sure what to say, so I did what any logical millennial would do, and I went to Google to see what Google said I should do. And Google referred me to any memories that we have together. And when I thought about that, I was like, we grew up together and our whole childhood was together, so we have a million memories, whether that's wrestling until we got in trouble for being too loud, or having marshmallow fights in the kitchen and making a mess, or arguing over which movie was better that we should watch that night, or my favorite, him teaching me video games, even though he got so mad at me because I didn't realize the triangle on the controller meant something different in every game, which we finally came to the conclusion that it's best if I just watched. So I spent the next several years watching him and his friends play video games, which was fine by me because I got to annoy two people at once. But one memory that kept coming to mind, and I'm not even sure why, and I'm not sure if he still remembers it, but when Ian first got his driver's license, he told me the only way he was letting me ride with him was if I could sit there and be quiet and not freak out over everything. And I agreed to these terms not because I thought I could do that, but because I wanted bragging rights that he obviously liked me more than Addie because he let me ride with him first. So when we were out on this drive, we hit the biggest pothole I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't say anything and I didn't make any noise because I didn't want to break my promise to not freak out. But he pulled over to the side of the road, and we looked at each other, and we just busted out laughing because we were both so scared that we had broke the car, and we were going to have to tell everybody that we broke the car. But we laughed, and we drove home, and we never said anything. So if you wanted that to be a secret, I apologize. It is now out. Another thing I saw in my research was that when you give a speech at a sibling's wedding, you should thank the people who had to raise you. And I say had because to say that our parents had their hands full was an understatement. Because you had Ian, who liked to be alone, you had me, who liked to annoy Ian when he wanted to be alone, and you had Addie, who did exactly what I did. So you can only imagine the amount of arguing and complaining that our parents had to deal with, one raising us all. But as we grew up, we grew closer. I like to think we argued a little bit less, and our parents had to then financially support all of our coffee runs and going out to dinner and going to the movies, but I say all this to say thank you to them and to all of our family for raising us into the people we are today. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, so thank you all for the roles that you played in our life. Now, one other thing about Ian, and if you know Ian, you know this, is that there's a speed right between slow and a complete stop, and that is where Ian lives his life. And I don't know how many times in my life I've heard Ian referred to as a snail or a sloth because it takes him 4 times longer than anyone else to do stuff. But with Huntley, it was different. With Huntley, I like to say Ian used marsupial speed. And by that I mean, when Ian told me he was going to marry her, he said, everyone's going to think this is too fast. And I had never heard those words come out of Ian's mouth before. But of course, as his little sister, I supported him and I said, of course, it'll all work out if you think she's the right one. And then I followed up by saying, do you even think she'll tell you that she wants to marry you? Which obviously she did, so that's great for him. But I do think if he took as long to ask her to marry him as he did to take baths, then she probably would have said never mind. So thank you to Huntley for being the one thing that encouraged Ian to move faster than a snail. Thank you for being a pure source of happiness to my brother. I've been blessed to get to know you and to hear about your love for Taylor Swift, which I still hope is more or less than your love for my brother, but I do question it. But congratulations again to you guys. I look forward to spending time with you in your future, and I look forward to watching you guys grow. And I love you both with my whole heart. Enjoy the rest of your evening.